Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Every Week We Follow. It's so good that Ben wanted to come back on a second time for punishment. So thank you, Mr. Jowett, for coming back on to Every Week We Follow. How you doing, mate?
I'm all right. Thanks, Gary. Thanks for inviting me on again. Obviously, I didn't screw up too much last week, other than our predictions.
No, but it's understandable. But James is still sunning himself in Portugal, and apparently he's at the beach today, so he couldn't make today's episode. So you're very kind.
I feel like Jadon Sancho coming on as an unexpected reserve in the first half.
No, mate, it's much
Fortunately, I'm not at home, so there's no Villa memorabilia. I'm in the girlfriend's kitchen.
Yeah. It looks beautiful, mate. I like the turquoise kind of background. It's very nice.
He's quite nice.
Yeah, very nice. No, thanks for coming on, mate. I appreciate it, and it's purely on merit because I thought your debut last week was good, and we had some positive feedback, mate. There was lots of nice comments. We had nearly 500 views. It was decent, mate. So you obviously your insight is wanted and needed. So thanks very much.
I either did something right or I was so terrible. I was the laughing stock. People couldn't stop watching.
Well, mate, as long as people watch, I don't care. Either or. Yeah.
Right, what mate, they say? All publicity is good publicity.
Well, mate, this is a slightly different one to one we did last week because I don't know about you, but that's one of the best Villa performances I've seen probably since the 23-24 season against Man City, where it wasn't quite as a dominant a display.
You've gone further back than me. I mean, the one at Christmas last year, it was around Christmas, wasn't it, against Man City, where Durant scored like in the first minute or two. That was a pretty decent performance, but that, I would have just said that was probably our best performance that I can recall since we hammered Newcastle. Was it in April?
Yeah, I agree. And that is 3 seasons in a row that we've beat Man City at home. It's almost like we're a bogey team. I was nervous before the game because I said to my mate Pete, on the way to the game, you would expect Guardiola not to want to lose 3 in a row at Villa Park, and that he would have come to have a go at us. And
we're obviously their kryptonite, aren't we? Maybe they feel like we feel about Palace.
Yeah,
and Eagles for that fucking matter. Go ahead, fucking buffet bar Eagles.
Well, mate, after Thursday's performance, I was worried about yesterday's game. I'm not going to lie. I thought with Haaland scoring 12 in a row and then unbeaten in 9 games, and with them losing twice in the last couple of years, I thought they were going to come and really have a go at us. And to be honest, in the first 15 minutes, I was like, shit, we're in trouble here, because they had us pegged back and we were struggling. They were kind of just in and around the area that I think someone had I can't remember who it was from there, had a shot that went just over, and he literally he ran from the halfway line to the edge of our area unchallenged, and I was like, oh God. Haaland, by the way, I know he didn't score yesterday, and Man City fans might be disappointed, but that guy, I watched him closely, right, that for how big he is, the way he moves is frightening. I would not want to play against him, which can only feed into how well we played yesterday in keeping him quiet.
I thought, just picking up on you saying the first 10 minutes, I agree. For 10, 15 minutes, we struggled a bit. But for me, and I think Sky Sports got absolutely spot on. I know you didn't give Onana man of the match. I think you gave it to Cash. We'll come on to that shortly. But I thought Onana was superb. First 10 minutes, he looked a little bit wobbly in possession. If I'm honest, watching it, I was like, oh shit, every time the ball came near him. But he got through the first 10 minutes and then he absolutely bossed that game and he shackled Haaland.
Yeah.
There can't be too many players out there that can be as physical as Haaland. And I think yesterday Onana was. And his big long limbs got in the way numerous times, and he just threw himself about and he blocked things, took one right in the face. There was no lack of commitment there. And I know in your post-match review off the go-ahead Eagles shambles, you had a bit of a go at Onana, but I tell you what, he came through that yesterday with flying colours. That was his best game in a Villa shirt by a mile.
Yeah, and mate, I'm always happy to eat my own words and kind of hold my hands up and go credit where it's due, because I did think, against Spurs and against Go Red Eagles, you go in, God, this guy's made of glass. 50 million quid is he had enough of an impact on our squad to kind of really call him a 50 million pound player. But yesterday, That's all I want to see, mate, in a Villa shirt from players. That's all I want to see. Like, give that level of commitment, throw your body on the line, make it difficult for teams. Like, he should be doing that, like, against everybody. That's the next step now, consistency, right? But he came so close for my man of the match, really. And we'll get into that in a minute. But what I loved about him is that it kind of just set the tone for the rest of the game after that first 10, 15 minutes, because he started picking the ball apart, and him and Kamara worked really well yesterday. It just worked. They were just over. They didn't allow Man City much. They had little moments, Man City, in their passages of play, which you would expect because they are a good footballing team. Phil Foden moved the ball really quickly, but it played into the fact what the game plan was, and this is why, because one of the things I want to get into, and let's get into the players now, because as we mentioned, let's just
all right.
Because I'm gonna get off on a tangent.
Just on Kamara. What Rolls Royce that player is, and what Man City must be thinking about a player like him anchoring their midfield when they haven't got Rodri.
Well, let's just get in, as we were talking about Onana, right? I gave him a 92, right? Now, and I'm not quite sure how we'll go as we go for the stats of the players. Remember, Finalysis is new, people, and if you are part of Finalysis and you want to be part of it, the link's in the bio. But some of the stats, it's a new app, so we'll see Matty Cash's in a minute, and it's kind of it's got no tackles made, but I've distinctly seen him make several tackles against Doku when he came on. Anyway, for this one, we're just looking at the score, really, 92, and I just wanted a visual representation of him, because he, like you say, I went in on him against Go Ahead Eagles, and I think he deserves the plaudits for what he did yesterday. So if he can do this consistently, this guy is a player. He's got a great personality. He's got a great aura around him when he plays like that. Because I think after that 15-minute period, it raised the team. We suddenly started to break the lines and get out of the initial press that Man City had. And after the goal, we should have been 2-0 up. McGinn had a great chance to score.
Didn't he just?
But it started with him and Kamara just breaking up those passages of play, winning the ball in and around our 18-yard line and moving it forward, getting it to Rodgers, getting it to Buendía, who, by the way, gutted for his injury. I thought he was exceptional in the first 10, 15 minutes, because he was the one that had a little bit of trickery that, I don't know, just got everyone going. It was brilliant to watch, mate.
Stop you there, mate. It's been exceptional all season, and I was so pleased, last week. I think I said it in the go-ahead preview. I could speak all night about how pleased I am for Buendía. He's been through the mill, etc. Probably didn't feel wanted at the club, but he's knuckled down and he's worth his weight in gold. I mean, he's not very big, but still worth a bit, surely.
Fuck it, mate. Fuck it.
But I'm now absolutely distraught for the guy, because I don't know what it is. Have you heard anything? But my guess is it's a metatarsal. That's what it is. It's a foot injury of some description. So that's probably a couple of months. So he ain't going to play this side of Christmas, would be my guess. And then he's got to work his way back into fitness and form. And, it's a sad situation.
I haven't heard anything. Let's hope. Like, obviously, he left on crutches yesterday, didn't he? Let's hope he's had a scan today and it's not as bad as hopefully that was a precautionary thing and it's not as bad. That's the best case scenario.
He looked in a lot of pain. He couldn't put his foot down, could he? He couldn't put any weight through it.
It's just not good news, mate. But other than that, like, just get well soon, Buendía, because he's been a revelation. He's been like a new sign, hasn't he? So we're going to miss him. We are going to miss him.
We are, and he scores your goals, doesn't he? And we need to share it about, especially as our number 9, who wears number 11, ain't coming to the party on that front. And
we'll get onto him in due course, mate. Trust me, I've got some words. But talking about goals, like, their main threat, one of our headline for the last pod was, how do we stop Haaland? Right, and I've got to go in on this guy, because I'm going to eat my words, because I was critical about this. I said to you, I think, on the last pod, if we play him against Haaland will eat him for breakfast. And the reason, and there's 2 reasons why it didn't happen for me. Right, one was Onana, because of how good he played in that, of stifling him. But that enabled us to play, Man City to play in front of us. And this guy, when teams play in front of you, is probably one of the best. Honestly, he does read the game really well. He his distribution is absolutely second to none. And
unbelievable. And I said exactly that last week. Without Tielemans in this side, his distribution is critical to us. And I think it's no coincidence that the upturn in performances and results have been since he's come back into the side. I mean, I love Tyrone, but I think we got to play Torres. He played that left-sided centre half role for an entire season when Mings was out, and that was our best season under Unai, and we got Champions League. What I don't know if you know, and when you mentioned it to me last week, I didn't know, but I read over the weekend. All three of our victories over City over the last 3 seasons, he has started the game.
Yeah, I know. And this was the big debate, right? Because I've gone in on him and saying that Haaland will. I had an interesting discussion with another content creator, Ben from BM Talk Sport, mate. Happy days. We had a bit of a discussion on YouTube about it. He made the same point. And I think it wasn't the fact that he couldn't cope with him. I think it's the fact that in the current form and how he finished last season was that that pace and the power of Haaland would do damage to him. And now, because we played it so well, it didn't ever come into effect. But if you look at the first 5 games of the season, he was a liability because he was left so exposed.
True. And that's exactly what I was just about to say. Sorry to cut across you. I think you sort of touched on it. They played in front of us. Torres is poor when they put a ball behind him. And Man City don't do that. But Man City will play in front of you, pull you about. Man City play very similar to what we do. Build up. I think they probably play with a bit more width than we do. But
it's almost
they
like
want
it's a
to
Spanish
pull
way of
you
playing,
around and drag you out of position. They ain't playing a ball over the top for a striker to run onto, which is where Torres gets caught out time and time again. And that's why I think he struggles against the poorer sides that have less in their locker and just put it bluntly, play the old Wimbledon long ball. Let's hoof it up and hope he gets on to the end of it.
Yeah, do you know what I found really interesting though? Like tactically from Guardiola yesterday, considering he's lost the last 3 games at Villa Park, well 2 until yesterday, is that he didn't try and do just that and go with balls in behind with Haaland's pace because
you suggesting he should have put 5 at the back and given us a low block, and then just played long ball football. I think that's anti-Guardiola, isn't it?
Well, maybe, but he's the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. And I get it. These like him and Unai are very similar, where they'll stick to their guns, right? But
because they believe in it and they believe that they are that good and their players are that good that it's an aberration when they haven't won.
Which is fine, right? But when it's not working like it wasn't working yesterday, after 15 minutes, they didn't cause us a lot of trouble. Apart from the Haaland's chance in the first half, I don't remember them having a proper shot on goal until they had the disallowed goal for offside. Right? It was very restricted.
I'm still clutching my nuts at that. God, that he took a right clout to the Ghoulies off the post.
It's obviously I'm at the other end of the pitch, mate, when I'm at Villa Park, but it sounded horrendous, and I thought,
I had such mixed emotions because initially it was typical 89th minute, and then you realise it's offside. You go, yes, and then you realise he's absolutely gurned his nuts on the post. You start giggling, and then actually go, oh no, actually that really hurts. Start touching your own.
I thought he committed suicide, mate. It looked horrible. It did look horrible, like that. But that's what you want.
He actually got up and finished, but he walked down the tunnel very gingerly, I'm told.
Well, the thing is, it's kind of they've Man City struggles though because once you nullify Haaland, I was struggling to see from them what they would try, who was going to be the one that could actually cause us problems, and nobody showed anything. Oscar Bob had a little bit in the first half, but then quickly disappeared. Foden was the same. Like it was. We just grew into the game and got better and better. And there was a lot of back to the wall kind of, just closing down and closing the space and working hard. We generally had some good moments in both the first half and second half where, we probably played like the away team. We allowed them to press onto us and then we were trying to hit them on the counter-attack, which is absolutely fine against Man City, right? And my only disappointment about yesterday was that we only scored 1 goal. I thought we probably should have won 2, maybe 3-0.
Well, that's something else I've got jotted down to discuss at some point. And just on Man City, I know this is a bit of a podcast, but they just, in my mind, they haven't replaced, De Bruyne, and probably I don't know if he's still there, but he was there last year. He came back, Gundogan.
Oh no, he's gone somewhere else, hasn't he? He's on loan somewhere.
Right,
yeah,
but
sure
he wasn't the same player last season or what he was 3-4 years ago. But here's one for you: do you think prime Man City were actually ever that good, or were all the teams vying for the league, your Arsenals, your Liverpools, your Chelseas at that time, just really not very good?
Well, I think they were that good, Man City. I just think the rest of us weren't that good. And I think we've started to catch up. That's the difference. You've had better coaches come into the Premier League. You've had more money being spent across different teams, different owners taking over and being able to invest more money. And I think we're just slowly working out that Guardiola way of playing, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Hence, like yesterday, do you know what I mean? It was a perfect performance. It wasn't as good as the 23-24 where we dominated them completely and blew them off the park and should have won more than one.
That was one of the best performance I've ever seen Villa put in. That was. Do you know what made that so good and will make it stick in my mind probably for the rest of my life? Is the fact it was so bloody unexpected.
Oh yeah. Oh, mate, that week was probably the greatest week of my life because we beat Man City and then
Arsenal a couple of days later. Yeah,
like it was unreal. If we're talking about Emery memories, that for me, it is up there. The biggest frustration for me is that, like, and it is a problem, right? And maybe it's in Emery we trust, but it's the lack of consistency. How do we go from Thursday night? And I know he made 7 changes, but even me, if you're making 7 changes, whoever's playing in that team, should be putting in that level of performance for me. Right, because all of those players that played on Thursday have still played in the first, and they still know what's expected. Yeah. Right,
the team he put out on Thursday was amply good enough to win that game by 3 or 4 goals. The fact that they didn't take the chances, and I think there was an element of an attitude. Oh, we only have to walk on the pitch and turn up here to win this game, and they got caught out. I know you and James say on this pod regularly, it's all about the early goal.
It's all about the early goal.
Sadly, it wasn't. Probably because we didn't do the basics.
Yeah, fucking proving us wrong, mate. Bastards.
It had. We will never ever know. But had we not scored in what was it, the 3rd minute, 4th minute?
Yeah.
And actually had several more chances just to put the game to bed in the next 10 minutes. Maybe we'd have won that game because we'd have actually taken it a little bit more seriously. But I think maybe after 10, 15 minutes, the players just went, oh, this is a piece of piss.
Yeah, but the difference though, mate, like, okay, it wasn't an early goal, but we scored relatively early yesterday, 19 minutes, right? And then you do the basics well and you work hard and you close pace down and you're busting guts to move the ball around the pitch quickly. Like and I know it's Man City, so Man City give you a little bit of that freedom to do that, but the principle is still the same. Wherever you're playing, whether you're playing a low block, whether you're playing against teams that are letting you play, the intensity and the levels need to be there. And
absolutely. I mean, obviously there was the changes. There was probably, I think we'd have played well against City anyway because we seem to always play well against City. We're their kryptonite, aren't we? They must feel like we do about Palace, I'm guessing. But there was probably an element of reaction as well. To that game.
Which is great, right? But we've had, for me, I'm just thinking about the bigger picture here, right? I'm trying to get to a point where, are we ever going to get to the point where we are progressing to a point where we're getting better and we're going to consistently be able to perform? Because it's good.
That's the key word, consistency.
It's no good.
We are inconsistent. And, we talked about Onana and the next step for him is going to be, to be consistent.
Well, mate, we are
He's a microcosm of the team.
Consistently inconsistent because throughout Emery's reign, we've had these moments where we've gone 3 or 4 games, been shit. Then we've put on a run together of 8 or 9 or, 18 home games, whatever it was, but then poor away from home, just not being able to, so obviously it's easier said than done. But ultimately, if we are going to do anything this season, like if we're going to bring home silverware or finish anywhere in the higher echelons of this league, which if you look at it now, you're 3 weeks on from, where we were, and we're thinking, fucking hell, it's going to be a long, hard season. We're not going to finish in the top half. So suddenly being a point off fourth,
it's unbelievable. We talk about end of September. When was it we went up to Sunderland? Let's not forget Sunderland are second, third.
I know, mate. That's looking like a great result now, isn't it?
It looks like a bloody good result. But I mean, I don't think they're going to last the course. But fair play to them. They've come up and they've got points on the board, and they're I think you guys called it. No one wants to go up there.
No.
But
they've come to play, mate. They've come to stay in this division. They're going to, like you say, get the points on the board early, because ultimately they probably will drop off. But if they've got the points on the board, they'll give them a great chances of. No one wants to be playing.
Well, they're halfway to safety, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Halfway to safety in a quarter of the season.
Yeah, and they're in dreamland, aren't they? So
absolutely.
I just want to see that level of performance, because Sunderland do just that. They work for each other. So if we can get this in a bubble and get the players doing that just for this season, whatever happens, whether players decide to come or leave, I just want that euphoric feeling that I felt yesterday that team was together.
I think we're getting there.
Which brings me on to one of our star performers, mate, because I have been harsh on this.
Before you do, I just want to say Pau Torres, whatever his name is, that clearance, goal line clearance in the second half. Yeah. Awesome. I'm not sure, if I'm being honest, I'm not sure how much of it he knew about, or how much he knew about it.
That could have gone
anywhere, mate. Very easily put that in his own net.
Yeah.
But credit where credit's due. He was in the right place at the right time, and he got it over the bar. If it was luck, he created his own luck.
You're right. Before we move on, I think about Torres, I was very sceptical about him starting against Haaland. But again, I want to lay on the light and hold my hands up, because if we can play like that as a midfield to restrict teams to play in front of us, this guy is a proper baller. He is, and he showed that yesterday. And it's only when you leave him exposed. So he deserves the plaudits for this one, mate. And that rating of 90 is thoroughly deserved, in my opinion.
I think it's thoroughly deserved. What would your view on? I mean, we're pretty well stocked at the moment for central midfielders, but we've gone through periods of time where we haven't. What would your view of putting him in the holding role be?
Well, I don't think that's a bad idea, particularly against pacey teams that are looking for that ball in behind. Like, he's another option, isn't he? Because you'd rather have Mings and Konza dealing with balls over the top because they're quicker. And Torres, like you say, his ball playing ability is something that bar Tielemans, we don't necessarily have breaking those lines. And yesterday, that's exactly what we needed.
Absolutely. I mean, okay, maybe not the best example. It didn't work yesterday for him, but that's what Stones was doing. Yeah, that was the role he was in, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. So surely, if you want a versatile player like that, because that means you've got options at centre half and in that holding role that teams won't necessarily expect either. If he's playing as a holding midfielder, teams will go, hang on a minute, what? And he's clearly capable of doing that. So
he's got the skill set to do it, in my view. I'm just intrigued that Unai, in 3 seasons with him here, okay, what is it, two and a half seasons we've had Torres now. He's never done it, and we have had midfield crisis.
It's interesting. Maybe it's a little bit of, not knowing Unai, but understanding Unai a little bit more over the last 3 years, is that he's pretty stubborn when he's got something in his bonnet about where players should play, and this is his player. Remember, he bought him in from Villarreal, and maybe Torres doesn't want to play there. Maybe he's like, no, my position's defender, and that's where I'm playing.
True that, but he's a footballer. Surely he wants to be out on the pitch rather than the bench. And if some of those games where Mings gets selected, he gets offered the chance to sit alongside Kamara, or if Kamara's out, playing that position, surely he would take it rather than sit on the bench. Oh
yeah, I'm sure he would, but Emery's probably going, well, I've got, like you alluded to at the start there, we've got an array of that position to pick from when everyone's fit. So
we do currently, absolutely. But last season we were struggling, and I said it several times to anybody who'd listen. Really, why aren't we playing Torres there? Give him a go. He's got the skill set.
And you have to remember, he missed a large chunk of last season because he had broke his foot. Remember, so he was out. So I don't know, mate. I don't disagree with that. I think he's got, like you said, he's got the skill set. I just don't think Emery will even contemplate it because of the options we've got. Even in those crises, he's like, I'd rather have other players. Like, you know, it's weird. I've said this before when you came on. Like, I'd just love to be a fly on the wall with Unai for a week to work out how the fuck he makes these decisions and how he comes to go. You know, because that would be an insight that obviously you probably wouldn't be able to broadcast, but I'd just like to know.
And that's the beauty of that book. Yeah, we both went to the signing the other week. I read it. I don't know how far through you are. I read it avidly in about 4 days. I think that's as close as you're going to come to getting into Unai's mindset. It's a bloody good insight, if I'm honest. For anyone who's not aware of the book, go and buy it and read it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I agree, mate. That's definitely, and we should get some royalties for promoting it. Right, so on to the next one. Right, so this for me again another player, mate, that I have been super harsh on, and I've took some criticism. But again, I'm happy to take my incredibly large foot out of my mouth and go, this guy yesterday for me was fucking superb. I just thought he epitomised everything I want to see.
Fridge behind me. Do you want me to get you a little bit of humble pie out?
Yeah, a little bit, mate. I'll eat it, mate. I'll take the whole lot. I will, because you were on and I ripped him apart about his positional play. But yesterday, I don't think he put a foot wrong, mate. I think what was really impressive, not just his goal, right? His goal was superb, but after 60, 65 minutes when they brought Doku on, I just thought, oh, fucking hell, right, this is gonna test him. And I genuinely thought he handled him really, really well.
He did. Doku did him for pace a couple of times, but Cash's positional awareness, the way he got himself, you know, he angled his body, he flung himself about, you know, he shackled him. He wasn't perfect, mate, which is why he's only got 95, isn't that? No one's perfect.
There was a header that came across. There was a ball that came across the box, and he could have headed it out for a corner and headed it back into the danger area, and they had a shot from it. And I was like, "What are you doing?" Like, but that was my only criticism. But he worked his socks off, and you could see how much it meant to him at the full-time whistle. He walked up to the Holt and he did a little bit of a dance and stuff, and the passion in him. I was like, "Yeah, man, like fair play. Like this guy is." You know, I couldn't argue. You mentioned on the last pod that his consistency has been, you know, there for all to see, and he's arguably been one of our most consistent performers. I was being picky in terms of going, you know, positional sense because it had cost us goals. But again, humble pie. The goal yesterday.
Took his left leg as well.
Left foot, mate. We were right behind that, and the moment he swung his foot, I thought, "Fucking hell, what a strike! It's in euphoria, mate. Limbs, you know."
Who knew he had that in his locker off his left foot?
Well, I'd just like to see that done more, mate. We don't do it enough, and he's the only one that has done it in this season against Sunderland. He did it with, you know, and now clearly he's got it. Now, I'm not saying shoot every time, which was the cheer of the crowd every time he picked up the ball. The following 5 minutes, right?
I'll tell you what, if he did, Unai wouldn't have rewarded him today with a thoroughly deserved new contract.
And that is deserved, mate, because fair play to him. You know, I'll go back to it, right, regardless of what you think of Cash, and there's people that have dug deep into slating him, and he wants to be here, and if he's giving that kind of performance consistently, that's what you want. You want these players to step up. I've always been kind of slightly critical of going, shit, you know, we haven't really invested properly in the last 5 years at right back. And, you know, Unai has stuck with him. But my word, that's been repaid this year because it feels like he's just gone up a level.
I wholeheartedly agree. I would argue, I don't know what you think, but I can't think of many other candidates for this. In Unai's 3 years, if you're awarding most improved player, has that got Matty Cash's name engraved on it?
Well, do you know what, Roy? I think that's a fair shout. If you're doing an end of the award ceremony now, like, and it's kind of who's our most improved, I think he's got to be up there, mate. And I can't. I'm struggling to find fault at the moment because the fault that I have found has been nitpicking really about going to the next level, and so people will argue and go, "Oh, he's not good enough," and he hasn't been good enough. But that's the point, right? That you get better. I've said this numerous times about development. So, you know, the only way you get better is by doing the stuff that you know you can do to get better, and look at ways how you improve the game, improve your positional sense, improve your delivery in the final third, maybe add a couple of goals to your game. And so the ball is literally in his court. This season, if he carries on doing what he's doing, you could argue say he could be up for player of the season. You know, if you go with consistency.
I think if the season stopped now, it's him or McGinn, or maybe Buendía. But yeah.
Well, mate, I want Mr. Aston Villa that for all of them. I want them to put on the shirt, give 110%, and fight like they did yesterday.
And I think they all did just that yesterday. I can't fault. I might be able to nitpick and fault, certain players, for making a mistake yesterday or not doing what I wanted them to do. But I can't fault the effort they put in yesterday. Whilst we're on Matty Cash, just to flip it to the other fullback, I thought, and so I know you would probably more often than not rather see Maatsen play.
Yes.
I thought Buendía was superb yesterday as well.
Yeah, he was. No, do you know what? Yesterday, for the first time in a few games, actually, he really looked to get forward. He got us out of some sticky. Like usually he doesn't. He holds back, but for whatever reason, he had a couple of moments with Buendía where he linked up and he read the game really well and he nicked the ball a couple of times and all of this with a fucking gash the size of the Grand Canyon in his ankle. You see how that was strapped
I keep
up,
meaning to look that picture up, but I haven't yet. But I've heard it's pretty horrific.
Mate, well, he must have been hurting him because when he come off the pitch and he does his another one, right? He had his boot off and he's got this big fucking patch, like bandage on his ankle, right? So, and towards the end of the second half, he got clattered. He was down for a while and I thought, oh, fuck, has he just opened that up again? Because he was down. I thought it was Barkley at first. And I was like, I'll get up. And I thought, oh, shit, no, that's fucking Dina. He's obviously just been clattered straight where his fucking ankle is. So, no, he did deserve the points. Like I say, mate, we could have gone through the whole 11 doing this and we'd have been here all night. So,
I was actually surprised. Another common theme about Dina, or the left back, is you saying, I say a common theme for this show, is you saying that it gets swapped every game.
Yeah.
I was really surprised, and maybe you just explain why if he got clattered. I was really surprised when for the last 10 minutes he brought Maatsen on yesterday because City were throwing everything at us, and Dina had defended so bloody well. I want my stronger defender on now. Why are you doing this?
Well, I agree. I think it was the clattering, but mate, I think we have to trust Maatsen more. I think Maatsen he can do it. He can. I really believe in him. I really like him. And I don't want to see us lose him because at the moment we've got a bit of depth there. But fair play to Dina because to keep Maatsen out of the side for as long as he has is exceptional. So Maatsen, I guess, I don't know if I follow Maatsen on social media. He's fucking because he's ace, right? Him and his girlfriend do lots of stuff together. And it's fucking brilliant. It's really fun. And
are they the new Dougie and Alicia?
Oh, they're better, mate. Better looking by far. They're by far better looking than Dougie and Alicia. Not that it's about looks, it's about personality. But they seem like fun characters, right? And I don't want him to go. He's young and he needs to be playing. It's a World Cup year, and I just worry that come January, we don't want to be losing these players. So there's enough football for them all to get games. And I felt for him on Thursday because he didn't have a great game. And that comes down to consistency. But again, Dean has been just that. I'm all about consistency, mate, because that's what football is. You're consistent until you're not, and that's when you make changes, I guess. And it's unfortunate for Dina and Maatsen because why couldn't they be strikers? Because we need a striker. Do you know what I mean? That's the competition we've had rather than at left back. But it's a good headache to have, mate. And I'm sure both Maatsen and Dina will get ample game time throughout it. But yeah, you're right. As a back four yesterday, right, and I've said this loads, right, that consistency is key. Don't concede goals, right? So it doesn't matter who it is, whether you pick Maatsen. I prefer Maatsen, I do, because I think he offers a bit more going forward. But Dina did that well yesterday, right? But as a back four, if you're going to pick that, pick it. Right, so have Cash, have Dina, have Torres and Konza, or Torres and Mings, or Mings and Konza, whatever Emery's choice is. Stick with it, right? Because that's the core. That's the bit that needs to be right. Because, and also another shout out, back five actually, because I thought for the first time in 4 games, I thought Martinez was absolutely back on form. Like he came for everything. He caught everything.
I don't think you're wrong. He had very little to do, which I think is a compliment to the 10 blokes in front of him.
Yeah.
We just played a City side with Haaland in it, and Martinez had one save
shot.
tonight?
Yeah, one save, one shot, one save, mate. But I loved how dominant he was in the air because it's something that Bizot doesn't do. He comes out and punches. And what I've always loved about Martins, and we spoke about this about the Spurs game, mate, in terms of he was under the flight of the ball for some reason. And then on Thursday, he was rooted to his line and didn't want to come off. You know, whether the wind was keeping him there because it was a stormy night, I don't know. But yesterday, he just did the basics really well, which he always usually does. So it was just nice to see. Whatever happened yesterday, it came together and they all fucking pitched in and put in a team performance, right? And
thanks to our viewers, we know why he's called Debu now.
Yeah, we do. Cartoon character. Who'd have thought, right?
I actually went and Googled that after the show. And it was a nickname given to him when he was a kid because he looked like the character Debu with whatever the cartoon is. But it was because he got ginger hair. He's got ginger hair and freckles, which this Debu character has. So it was like, oh, I didn't see that one coming.
Well, that is a man after my own heart, mate. Right, and the next person I'm going to move on to, right, because I think we should, and we had a little bit of a brief chat off air, mate, and you had a list of players you want to talk to, and we'll get into those.
We've done half of them and a few extra.
Yeah, right. But I really wanted to talk about this guy because I have gone in hard on this guy. Mate, I spent 14 minutes on Sky Sports fucking basically slagging this dude off, saying it's not good enough. I didn't boo him. I wasn't one of the ones that booed him in that Bologna game.
No, you spent 14 minutes on Sky Sports. I thought it was less slagging him off, but being wound up by Jay Bothroyd.
Well, yeah, he was trying to get me to bite, but I wasn't slagging him. I was just highlighting that he was awful, and I don't think anyone can deny that in the first 5 games, this guy was a million miles off anything. He looked like he'd down tools and was wanting to leave. But yesterday, I was seriously impressed. It was like having the Morgan Rogers back we saw last season. Like he was dominant on the ball. He had 2 very mazy runs where Man City players bounced off him, like strong and powerful, just like we know he can be. But most impressively for me, mate, on 3 occasions, and I wish I'd have recorded them, but I didn't have I was watching the game, and obviously, but 70-yard sprints from front to back to cover or get back and defend, right? That is the reason why we won that game yesterday, because he was doing that.
Work rate, they were all exceptional when it came to the work rate. In terms of the rest of his game yesterday, I totally agree. He looked back to his best. I do wonder whether this might be controversial, but I thought City's midfield was non-existent at times.
No, I agree.
Play straight through him, and probably for the first time this season, he's had a bit of space.
Well, I think he's been lucky that in the last 3 occasions when we've played them and he's played, Rodri has not been in their team, and that is a massive difference. And it's an Emery masterclass, which is why I go back to slating Pep in not changing it, because he just allowed us to do the same thing and have that pockets of space, and you can't allow this guy that time and space in and around, like between the centre circle and your edge of your area. He'll just dominate it like he will if you give him that time and space. You know, we've watched teams literally double up against him this season to nullify that. So to give him that time and space, knowing that you haven't got your weapon of Rodri to cover that space, like you're asking for trouble, right? So yeah, I'm really pleased for him because you know this whole episode has been me basically just taking my foot out of my fucking mouth and eating humble pie. We're going through.
Who have we done now?
We're going through players that I have.
Cash, Torres,
and
Martinez, Digne. I tell you what, the day we get a podcast with you taking your foot out your mouth over Watkins, that'll be a red letter day.
Mate, I'm looking forward to that. I'll dedicate a whole day of it, like just talking about the product, but it ain't coming anytime soon, let's be honest. Right. So yeah, you know, I think I'm happy to be proven wrong, and I think football's about opinions, right? And they should be criticised when they don't do it, and we should laud the plaudits when they do.
100%.
And yesterday they deserve it all, mate.
I'm all for giving players the benefit of the doubt if they have a bad game or two. You know, they're only human at the end of the day. You know, they despite the fact they get paid an obscene amount of money, they still go through all the same emotional feelings and issues in their private life that make the rest of us not perform particularly well at our jobs on any particular day. There's an argument to say that if they earn 150 grand or more a week, you know, you expect a performance, but they're not robots.
Well, mate, I don't want robotic performances. I want performances like yesterday. That's what I want to see week in, week out.
100%. But what I will say is, if they're getting paid that amount, they are open for not the abuse. I don't agree with abusing players, but criticism.
Yeah. I completely agree with that sentiment, mate. And I think that's the difference, right? That these players should be held to take the criticism and be held accountable for that, because that's what they get paid the big bucks for. And so it's all about, I guess that's the beauty of football and management, is getting the best out of the players when things aren't going really well. And this is what an Emery masterclass, really, from where we were to where we are. I'm not saying I've ever questioned him, but I was worried at the start of the season, mate, because with what had gone on, I was concerned that we were going to be losing players and that they're down tools, and I didn't really understand why they were so poor, other than the fact that there was a big rift in that dressing room and something needed to happen. And you know, it brings us on to the summer again. We've talked about something, so I want to bring it up to talk about Jadon Sancho and Harvey Elliott. Two players that we've bought in, you know, at the deadline day transfers, really. You know, well, let's do Harvey Elliott first, because not even in the match day squad, Emery came out publicly and said it's nothing to do with, you know, he likes him, whatever. Yeah. But that's not been proven so far. He's barely had any minutes.
Been proven, and has he been seen since he got, was it Sunderland or Fulham? He got hooked at half time in.
Sunderland. No, Fulham. No, Fulham.
Fulham. And he got hooked at half time, and then Unai did something very out of character, I thought, and basically said in his press conference afterwards that, you know, criticised the player by name, saying he was passing the ball too quick. Now, I think something got lost in translation with that.
Yeah.
But irrespective of whether or not something got lost in translation, he name-checked the player publicly.
Yes, it's not good, is it?
And the lad hasn't been seen since. That is hugely worrying for me. Now, conspiracy theory, you know, he's on 10 appearances for it to become an obligation to buy. Yeah. Are we waiting until not playing him, wait until January and Liverpool terminate a loan and he goes off elsewhere to get game time? Or the counter to that is 3 seasons ago, Tielemans come in on a free. We all thought, great signing. Didn't see him for best part of 6 months.
Well, he was injured. Yeah.
Was he injured? I think he turned up unfit and he hadn't had a pre-season, but I don't think he was necessarily injured. And there were rumours flying around that he was hugely unhappy and he was looking for a transfer in January.
Yeah.
But now look at him. Okay, he's injured now.
Well,
but look at him last season.
Yeah,
so
it's amazing.
Is it a case of, you know, as Unai keeps on saying, and you know, these players just need to adapt to his way? And
well,
the problem with Elliott is there are too many players in that position.
What you would think now, though, with Buendía going down, because clearly Emery was looking to favour Buendía now, right? And he's earned that place. If Buendía is going to be out for 3 or 4 months, you can shift that around to fit Harvey Elliott into that front line now.
You can do that. Is that the opening for Sancho, who clearly Unai thinks has developed more or understands what is required of him more?
So this is the point of this discussion, right? So we go on to that in terms of Sancho, as we all know that this guy can be a liability, that there's something not quite wrong between his ears, right? The Instagram stuff and all the, I don't want to get into that because I don't know the facts of the case, but it's all just a massive distraction, which we know Emery's not going to be on board with, right? And if he's still playing him, but if you can get Sancho, he's in the right headspace. He's a fabulous player, mate. He's so skillful. He's got
very one-footed though, isn't he?
Well, it doesn't matter, mate. If it's that good, it's like he still can do a job. He looks a threat. I think you've got that link-up play that you can develop with Matson, which I've seen a couple of times. It looks half decent. Look, it's another weapon to the bow that you could utilise. But you know, he came off yesterday after being subbed, and no one likes that. That's a fucking shit thing for a footballer. If you've ever played any sport, there's nothing worse than being subbed on and then subbed off. Never happened to me, mind, because I'm.
No, it happened to Bailey a season or two back, didn't it? And similar sort of circumstance. Bailey bounced back, and I don't think Unai necessarily does it, as a punishment to the player or whatever. He does it because he needs to tactically change the team. Now, I think
Sancho didn't shake his hand when he came off, and I saw that. He was right. Like Emery made a beeline for him to go, like, it's tactical. You could see he was saying it was tactical, and he went to shake his hand, and he just fucking put his head down and carried on walking to the bench. Little bit shit.
He did at least go back to the bench then. So,
yes, but I said to the guy who sits next to me at the Villa, I was like, look, I want to see players pissed off being taken off. I would be pissed off if I was subbed on and got subbed off. So I don't disagree with that. As long as there's no more throwing dummies out the pram, and he's like.
But for me, and I said this to a couple of the guys yesterday while watching the game, and they were criticising Sancho, and I fit slightly outside of that. I thought he had a reasonable game. Maybe he doesn't work back as hard as, say, a Gessan does on the other flank, but I didn't actually see a great deal that he did wrong. Didn't think he was that poor. Could have put it 2-0 up,
Donnarumma made a good double save, to be fair.
Donnarumma's up there as one of the best. You could argue Donnarumma, single-handedly won PSG a Champions League last season.
Yes, mate, but he's not won at Villa Park because he lost at Villa Park.
Not won at Villa Park. Now, in terms of Sancho, what I will say is that I think the whole thing about being subbed is valid if he's come on as a tactical substitution to change the game. He came on early
because of an injury.
As an injury sub.
And
so effectively he de facto becomes the starting player in the tactical regime. And so then after an hour, if something needs changing up, he's not the guy who's come on to change it. He's just being considered as the starting 11, so to speak. Now, what did he get? He got subbed with 20 minutes to go. Now, there's two things here for me. One, allegedly is not fit, or not fully match fit for 90 minutes, which is disappointing of a professional footballer. Okay, he's been in the bomb squad at United, but fitness is gap. So that for me is disappointing. But I get it. It takes a few games to get match sharp again. But two, we needed to get as much solidity into us as possible, in that final 20. And he clearly wanted to bring Gessan on for his work rate and defensive ability, tracking back. And he wasn't going to bring Gessan on for McGinn or Rodgers, was he? So the only option was Sancho.
Yeah, no, I understood it, mate. But he did take McGinn off, didn't he?
He did take McGinn off. I think, was it at exactly the same time or fractionally different?
Yeah.
But he brought Barkley to play in central midfield. So it was a different tactical substitution. I was actually surprised he did take McGinn off.
He was,
but I could understand that logic. But he wanted a wide player because then Rodgers shifted out to the left, didn't he? Barkley came middle, which is what McGinn would have done had he stayed on.
Yeah.
And Gessan came right.
And to be fair, Barkley looked lively. I was impressed when he came on. He progressed the ball really well.
All these cameos this season over the last 3 or 4 games, I think he's looked decent on. I mean, I would have selected in my go-ahead Eagles predicted. But
it's interesting what's going on with Barkley, mate, because all we've really heard is that it's personal stuff. And does this mean, again, in that position where you think you've got Tielemans to come back, is Barkley really going to be a prominent figure in our midfield over the season, or is it literally just a bit part player as cover? Because where does he fit in? I don't like.
Unai obviously rates him. I mean, even last season, how often did he start? He was coming off the bench to shore things up, wasn't he? His experience, his ability on the ball.
And maybe he's just happy with that, mate, because he's going this. But maybe it's a kind of look. If I'm part of the squad and I'm just getting these minutes, that's fine. And if you can do what he did yesterday, then I'm all for it. But we know that consistency is the key in football, and we have got such a tough run of fixtures between now and the end of December. We've started brilliantly. I cannot believe I'm saying.
Gary, I've got a stat on that, mate, because I knew this would come up. And it was actually going to be my final thoughts, but you've teed me up, so I'm going to...
Okay. So 6 points from 9 out of Spurs and City.
Yeah, this allegedly, we've taken 6 points from the first two, but actually, if you look at who we've played, we've taken 7 points now from the 3 games of teams that are currently above us in the league. One of those teams being Sunderland, where we drew.
Great result.
Second. They might not last the course, but that result doesn't look so shabby now.
No.
And then this probably tells a story. 8 points from 6 games of teams below. That ties back into the lack of consistency and probably our struggles against the low block. Teams that will play football and want to dominate a game and not go out just to be Sam Allardyce and kill a game. We're great against.
Yeah.
And so I'm not. I said this to you the other day. I'm not frightened about playing these games. And the only one I said I was Liverpool up at Anfield. But now I look at it and go, that's their game. I mean, it will be particularly Villa. We talk about Spurs being Spursy. It's Villa-y to actually give the player who hasn't scored in a year his first goal. The team who can't buy a win, their first win. It will be typical Villa to go up there and give Liverpool a win. But that said, the run of form on there, I would say we're favourites currently.
Mate, surely, all I ask for, if we play against Liverpool, because they will be very similar to City, they're going to come at us. If we can put in that level of performance we did yesterday against Liverpool, we've got a great chance of winning that game. Because defensively, I watched Liverpool on Saturday, mate, and Van Dijk and Konate just giving up on we could cause them massive problems. So, but like you say, it's very Villa, and surely we can't, get 9 points from Spurs, City, Liverpool, can we?
I don't know.
Can we, Ben? Can it happen?
Well, I'll leave you to do the preview on Thursday with, I don't know, is James fit to play?
No,
or
James is away this week. I've basically got the lovely a lady called Sarah, who's a fellow fanlist. She's coming on. She's a big Liverpool fan. She's going to be coming and putting me to the sword, and she's going to be doing the hat-trick quiz.
She's going to be shitting herself because the Villa are ace and Liverpool are shit, and that doesn't happen often.
We were talking, we've got a Finalysis group chat, right? And we were talking about that, and she's like, if genuinely, she was asking the question, if Villa beat Liverpool on Saturday, is Arne Slot under pressure? Because that will be the first Liverpool manager to lose 5 league games in a row. I don't know. I don't know the stat, but it's been a while. Brendan Rodgers, maybe? I don't know. Liverpool fans, let me know in the comments.
You know what? The last time that Liverpool, Man City, Man United and Chelsea have all been outside of the top 4 at this stage of the season. Guess who won the league?
Fucking hell. Oh, God, I don't know. It wasn't.
This is hat-trick quiz revenge.
Hat-trick, fucking hell, Ben. The last.
I'll put you out of your misery, mate. Leicester.
Yeah, Leicester. It took me a while, but I got there. Yeah, mate. Look, you can't.
I'm not saying it's another Leicester season. I think it's Arsenal's to lose.
Could it be Bournemouth or Sunderland? Like Bournemouth, mate. Honestly, that's the tricky one. Bournemouth at home. That's going to be a tough game, man.
Yeah, but it's at Villa Park.
But it's at Villa Park.
And that's what I was just about to say about Liverpool. If we had Liverpool on Saturday night at Villa Park,
you fancy us? Yeah.
It's going up to Anfield because we don't necessarily travel well.
No, we don't, mate. And we haven't won at Anfield in since 2014 or something like that. It's been a long time, man. And
but so if you can't be up for after the way we played on Sunday yesterday, against City, if you can't be up for Saturday night lights at Anfield, mate, you don't deserve to be taking home your 150k a week.
Again, and you're looking at Liverpool's form. You're not going. This is a Liverpool side that's banging form, that's like smashing everybody. We're going on. They could lose 5 games in a row here. They're weak. Defensively, they're weak. They're firepower. They can score goals. We know that, but we defend like we did yesterday. Give ourselves a great chance, And then I could see Villa basically beating Liverpool, beating Bournemouth, and then fucking losing to Leeds away. That's the next game.
I was going to say Wolves
or Wolves at home. Yeah, fucking. That's But mate, it's nice to be talking again. I just how fickle and how quickly it changes. Because a few weeks ago, I'm thinking, shit, okay, we could probably beat Leeds and Wolves, and we'll have no points, haven't it? And now all of a sudden we're going, and it's the hope that kills you, right? We could beat Liverpool, and if we beat Bournemouth, fucking hell, we could be second. Do you know what I mean? Like it's crazy, man, because it's all to play for, and that's how quickly it can change.
It's early days, mate. It's absolutely early days because we've played 9 fixtures.
Yeah.
So we're nearly a quarter of the way through the season. So still a hell of a long way to go. But I put this out there: is history going to repeat itself? Last time Unai lost his first 4 games or whatever it was, he came 5th and
won the Europa League.
Yeah.
Mate, I would chop off hands for that right now. 5th place and the Europa League, absolutely brilliant. Like it could happen, mate. Let's hope so. Yeah. I think after Christmas we'll know where we're at. Those
just as an aside, assuming we get as a league, assuming we get the 5th place gets Champions League again next season. Yeah. If we come 5th and win the Europa, so that's 2 routes into the Champions League. Does 6th get Champions League?
No, I don't think that's the way it works, mate.
Right.
No, I think it would just be. I don't know for sure. I have to double check, but there is something weird. It's weird out because of the winning the cup. I don't think that's the way it works. I think it's like they go with like a. Is it? I think it's the next country that's got the best record and stuff. Right. So because you don't.
Put it in the comments.
Yeah, let me know, or let us know. Right, so before we go, Ben, to finish off, let's just go through the squad's overall ratings, both City and Villa, and let me know what you think about the scores. We'll start with Villa first. Right, this was the overall scores. Now, we've talked about most of the players, but let me know your thoughts on, are there any there that you go, actually, yeah, we should have rated less, more? What do we think of Emery's score of 90? Do we think he got? Let's talk a little bit about Unai. Do we think he got
Unai got it spot on, didn't he? Yeah. Can't argue. He fucked it up on Thursday, I suppose you'd argue. But he got it spot on yesterday. I mean, yeah, football, fine margins and all that. Had we won at a canter, which we should have done, with the team we put out on Thursday, you'd probably be saying it was a masterclass of management because he's kept them all fresh so they can do this on Sunday. But had we won at a canter on Thursday, we probably wouldn't have won yesterday because we wouldn't have got the reaction and the work rate and the effort that the players probably thought they owed the fans. So and this is the self-respect.
And this is why we love football, right? Because there's just no fucking exact science to it. So what I wanted to talk about, mate, was that rating of Ollie Watkins, 72. Now, I've got this. This is the overall Finalysis scores. They rated him 72. So we'll just focus on Watkins. I rated him 84. Maybe I was a little bit generous.
Very generous man there, Gary. I thought you were the only person I know that probably slates him more than I do. So I think you're pretty generous there.
Because I try and tell it as I see it, mate, and try and be honest and as authentic as possible. And yesterday, I thought he worked his nuts off, and his hold-up play was superb.
I can't disagree with that. I was the same. I think I said in the Spurs game, he worked really hard, and he when he came on, he runs the channel, he holds the ball up really well, and he tracks back and he works fucking hard. But ultimately, a striker's currency is goals.
Oh yeah, mate, his first touch
finish
yesterday.
His fucking dinner. I know he didn't have any clear-cut chances yesterday.
Yeah, but he could have, mate, if his first touch was better yesterday. He had 2 glorious moments to control the ball before he got put through one-on-one from Barkley's wonderful pass, by the way.
And he conviction there.
He absolutely bottled it. Mate, where I sit in Trinity Road, right, I am on just in front of the 18-yard line. As the ball's come through, he kind of goes to reach out and he sees Donnarumma and he just pulls his foot out at the last minute. If he commits to that 100%, he's going to clatter into Donnarumma, right? Yeah. But I think he gets there first. I haven't watched him back massively.
I wholeheartedly agree, mate. Wholeheartedly agree. And I expect my striker, who wants goals, strikers surely wants goals, to risk clattering the keeper and maybe getting hurt.
Well, mate, look at the difference.
Haaland yesterday. He didn't pull out of, I'm going to clatter the post. He wants a fucking goal.
Mate, he scored the goal and worried about afterwards in his goals first, right? And that's what I'm saying. Watkins just hasn't got that elite mentality of scoring, wanting to score goals. He's got great build-up play and great work rate and all that kind of stuff. But like you say, ultimately, this fucker's costing us because he cost us last year. We need him to start firing and putting the ball in the back of the net. I hope to God he finds some form soon and starts putting the ball in the back of the net. And then we can start, because like I say, it will be a great show when I have to take my foot out of my incredibly large mouth. Right? And I'd love him to come on and talk to me because I think he's a great guy, but he's never going to do it. So, Ollie, if you ever do catch this, I know it feels harsh, but mate, just come on. Let's start putting that ball in the onion bag. I know you can do it.
And if you're not going to do that, Ollie, come on and tell Gary why.
Yeah. Talk me through the process. Because, mate, there was a bit yesterday which actually really baffled my head where, I don't know if it's from a corner or but he was at the near post, right, in the second half. And the ball came over the top and he was in. And the defender was goal side and the ball bounced up. And there was nobody behind him. And he just flicked it back into Donnarumma's hands, right? And I looked at the guy, I said, what the fuck's he seen there? Why is so he's holding the defender off, so he could have brought it down. I'm just intrigued, Ollie, to know what you're seeing. You're a pro footballer who's probably working on this week in, week out, but from a fan's perspective, I can't understand what you see because it's not what the rest of us see.
One comment that came up on my Villa WhatsApp group, Dermot, if you're listening, I'm going to name check you. Do you think he's lost the yard of pace?
Watkins? Yeah. I think that's inevitable, mate. I think he probably has in terms of, because I don't care what you say, once players hit 30, as fit as they are, and they are athletes, against mid-20s people, it's a difference. There is a yard of pace that dips 100%, mate.
Which is inevitable, Father Time and all that.
Yeah.
But that brought me on. I wanted to know what you felt. Obviously, it is inevitable. But I just wonder if he has, whether or not it's not that it's Father Time kicking in just yet, whether maybe he's just carrying an injury.
Well, if he's carrying an injury, mate, he shouldn't be fucking playing. It's as simple as that.
We haven't got much option, though, have we?
Well, yeah, but you've got options. You've got Cassandra and Marlon that could easily run that front line. And I'd rather see Marlon be given minutes and a chance to kind of work with the pairing of Gasson, do you know what I mean? As a second striker or something like that.
100%. I think I said it again for the Go Ahead Eagles preview. I want to see him play the two up top. I think that it's difficult to say that now after the way we played yesterday. Yeah. But I just think there's more goals in us with Ollie being goal shy, but his work rate and doing everything that Ollie's great at, because he's still doing that, with Marlon just off him. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Right. And Marlon, we know Marlon's got goals in him.
Look, what's wrong with mixing it up? This is what I'm saying. We know that coaches like Guardiola and Emery will stick to their guns because they believe in it. But it worked because it worked against Burnley when we played up top. They just couldn't contain us. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe I don't know. How do you do that? Do you lose the Sancho Buendía, player in there and just get Rodgers in behind, and then a three behind? I don't know. Or do we, against teams that we are going to struggle with? And I know this is probably going slightly at a tangent, but where we really struggle, and I think Ollie really struggles. I think he looked good yesterday, and I think he looked good against Spurs, because there's two teams that will actually, play football. Yeah. When he looks shit, it's against the Go Ahead Eagles. It's against a Sunderland. It's against whoever else we've been shit against this season, who just sit in, and there's no room and space for him to run in behind. And then, are we better off with the two?
Yes, 100%.
Or even playing neither of them, and actually getting all the ballers on the pitch and playing like City did the last time they won the league with a full
without a striker. Yeah. Well, mate, whatever happens with that low block, what needs to happen is that is that energy needs to be there, because that's one something we don't do when teams low block us. We continue to play the way we play, but possession based without any tempo, and that can't happen against low block. You have to move it quickly. So I'd like to see a little bit of variety of that to break those teams down, because that's something we've ultimately got to get better at if we are going to be consistent enough to go on and finish fifth and win the Europa League. You can't play one way against different teams because they set up differently.
You're
so
right.
hopefully we can adapt to that.
I've said this to you. Don't know if it was on air last week or off air or what. My biggest concern at the moment, despite the fact we're on a run, we're playing well, is we're not scoring what I call regulation goals. They're all, individual goals, mostly outside the area from a bit of individual brilliance, which we saw again yesterday from Cash.
Yeah, touch and finish, bang.
It was good to see it actually came from a set piece. I think the set piece went wrong, and Austin McFraud was on the whoever said that great line.
Yeah, Austin McFraud, I love it, mate.
But were you aware? I don't know if you were aware or not, or even saw it from the game. But he's on crutches and he's got his leg in a brace.
Yeah. So
it was his first game back, and he did it on. You just do not expect your coach to get injured on international duty.
No. Austin McFraud, whenever he got injured. It's interesting because you know what's really fascinating, what you just said, like in terms of in the warm up, right? Villa do this like passage of play when they just before they do their shooting drill, where they basically they pick the ball up in the middle, they attack the whole end, and they play it out wide, whip a ball in, and then they've got someone running in to finish it. And I'm like, we never do this in a game. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen us do it right effectively like that. So we practice it, but we don't ever really look to kind of get in behind and cut the ball back. And when we do, we often waste the ball anyway, or just whip it across the 6-yard box and expect Ollie to get into an area. And I'm going, why are you practicing that if you're never going to do it? Well, Ollie's doesn't necessarily work like that anyway. I get frustrated. It's a whole new podcast, mate, and I'm just aware that we're rambling on for an hour and 7 minutes.
That is my big concern, and I don't want to finish off this on a negative because I yesterday was so good.
Well, let's finish on a positive, mate, because I'm going to change the graphic to Man City's team, and I think this is a positive because this is what the Man City fans rated their team, right? And it's not great. Like
true. But we're all football fans, so there's never a happy medium, is it? It's too high and too low, you know.
Yeah, but mate, look what they gave Guardiola, 52. 52. I don't know, like, you know, I just think, is that a level of expectation from City that they did what we did on Thursday, where they could just turn up to Villa Park and win?
No, even though the last 2 times they turned up.
Yeah, but the naivety of sticking to the same sort of lineup and not really looking to nullify Rodgers. You're giving him that space. You've got, you know, surely you'd play with double pivot maybe. Like it was John Stones was literally bringing the ball forward for them because no one else was doing it, and he's coming out of. It enabled us to have little pockets of space and create chances against them. I thought Oscar Bob started lively, but after 15 minutes was nullified. Luca Dean did brilliantly against him. Savino against Cash. Honestly, mate, I didn't even know he was playing. It was fascinating. Bernardo Silva, quiet game. Foden, quiet game. This is not. You just don't expect that from City. So this is the positive for me, mate. We absolutely made them look ordinary, and that is the biggest compliment I can give the Villa yesterday. I thought that they were sensational.
Absolutely. I just want, when we are on top in games like that and creating chances, I just want us to score some. And I'm not worried that Haaland's going to pop up in the 93rd minute and equalise.
Yeah, well, mate, look, he had one sniff in the first half, which I generally thought, oh, God, he's going to score, and he didn't. He took it too early, and Martinez saved it. But other than that, mate, I think he had a half a header in the second half, which Martinez that was it.
Absolutely. But, you know, the goal he did score, which was offside, that's what I want to see more from Villa, you know, what I call regulation tapping.
Yeah.
You know? And we need those because at the moment, I can't think of a goal we've other than Marlon's against Burnley. I can't think of any goals which you go, actually, that's what I kind of expect from my front men. All our goals are coming from outside the area, individual, brilliance. When that dries up, where do our goals come from if we ain't got a striker putting the ball in there?
We've got something to work on for sure. But I think at this point, mate, after the start we've had, as long as we're winning games, I'm happy. Like, it is. I saw an Arsenal fan talking about this, kind of going, because people are going, oh, it's just set pieces, and but mate, they're top of the league with 4 points ahead. Like, I couldn't give a fuck how we win football matches if it's winning 1-0 every week from set pieces, and that wins you the league, and you defend like Trojans and don't let people like fuck it. It doesn't have to be fast flowing football. That's bollocks. It's nice to see that, and you want to be battering teams, but that's not the way the Premier League works. Teams are organised and disciplined and they're tough to break down and beat. So you have to dig in dirty and fucking, get on the end of the corner and, whatever it is like we did and try and take your chances when you get them, when you expose them. But that's the beauty of the Premier League.
And if we are going to be goal shy for probably the second season, it seems, the critical thing for me, and we actually did it yesterday, clean sheet.
Yes, mate. We've not had enough of them.
Absolutely. We bleed goals at times, and I was actually thinking until yesterday, I thought it in the go-ahead Eagles game. Every time Martinez seems to come into goal, we concede goals. Bizarre, what is it? 4 starts, 3 clean sheets. That's what I want. You ain't losing games of football if you ain't conceding goals. I mean,
we touched upon it earlier, mate, about having that consistent back four as well. And so when you've got a back five of a goalkeeper and a back four that knows what they're doing, you don't concede lots of goals. That's been key in most successful Premier League teams that have gone on and had massive successes. So
and that's Arsenal this season. As much as it kills me to admit it, and I think it's Arsenal's to lose. They ain't going to concede goals, and they're going to pick up.
Saliba gets injured, mate. Without Saliba, they're nothing. But so what we're basically saying is, right? It's the basics: is score goals, don't concede goals, win football matches. Right? That's what we're saying. Right, Ben. I'm going to call it there because it's an hour.
Do the basics right. That's my final thought for the day. Do the basics right.
My final thought was, because even though we mentioned it before we started, and I didn't do it, so if you are still here after an hour and 11 minutes, I'm going to plug the football. Right, please donate. There's a QR code down there. The link will be in the description to the thing. You can win this fine signed football, and we've got some signed pictures from Peter With and Brian Little. £5 entry. All proceeds go to Acorn, so please donate. It's a cause that's close to my heart, and we're still at £370, hoping to raise £1,000. We've got another couple of months to get it up there. I'm going to start pushing it more next month properly, because we're coming for your money, people. But it is for a good cause, right? And my final thought is this, mate. So I tried to get this. There's the advertising boards that go around Villa Park, right? And I noticed it last home game. I thought, oh shit, I should have recorded that. And then I got excited in the euphoria of the game. And I think about just before half time, I said, because the greatest thing about yesterday, I got to go with Mrs. Gary. Mrs. Bennett came with me to the football yesterday, and we had a great time because Ava was in Spain. So I took Sarah, and she absolutely loved it. And I said, there's a banner that goes around and says every week we follow, and it feels like they're advertising our podcast, and I meant to get it and I didn't, and I forgot again. Anyway, my wonderful wife.
Did she go to the Burnley game as well? I think
she did, yeah. She did, mate. Like, this is our first full game that I've been with Sarah to Villa Park and our own. No kids, like as a couple. That's the first football game we've been to at Villa Park. We've been to Wembley a couple of times to watch Villa play, but never at Villa Park. So, I think she's getting a taste.
Stop taking her to Wembley because we never fucking win there.
Oh, exactly.
Keep on taking her to Villa Park.
But, mate, she's got a bit of a soft spot for Gassan. Gassan come on and she went, ooh, who's that? I was like, yes. I think the classic statement was, oh, aren't they athletic? I was like, yes. It turns out that pro footballers are quite athletic.
he did well yesterday, actually, when he come on.
Yeah, he did. So, I'm just going to go to that, Ben, because this graphic deserves that. Look at that. Can you see that?
There you go, Gary. You have been noticed by the powers that be.
We've made it, and that's what I'm telling everyone. Basically, we are now advertising the Villa Park at Villa Park. Every week we follow the podcast live around your board. So please tune in, like and subscribe, and leave us your comments and all that kind of jazz. And we will hopefully be back soon. I'll be back Thursday with Sarah. Ben, thank you so much again for coming on, mate. I could talk
Absolute
to you all day
pleasure.
about football. I love the chat. I can't believe it's an hour and 13 minutes. James looking mad at me going, we should keep him to 45 minutes. Right, I can't. Once I start rambling, it's fucking whatever, right?
Two blokes that don't know when to shut up. That's the problem you got here, mate.
Well, mate, that's going to be the title. Two blokes don't know to shut up. That's going to be the title for this, which I'll get out now.
No one will go through it.
I won't. It won't be that, I promise. But no, this will be live in the next hour or so. So I'll share the links and across all social media platforms. So tune in. And until Thursday, we'll see you then. And as always, remember, sing it with me, Ben. Every week we follow the boys in Claret and Blue. He didn't cut me off. See you later. Stay tuned, Ben. Stay around because we'll talk afterwards.
Will do.